Hey guys, this is Danny Boy. This is a continuation of my last episode, episode 26, in which we are facing Cerberus on Eden Prime. This is the From Ashes DLC. So as you can see, we have some turrets ahead of us. I will be sabotaging them in a moment when I think to do so, or when I get the opportunity to do so. I will die twice in this fight. Both deaths are pretty stupid, where I just overextend. I peek too long and wind up getting gunned down by a turret. There are two of them. It is a little difficult to sometimes keep track of their fire rotation, especially when they're not firing in sync. These turrets are bursting a little staggered right now, so while one might not be firing, the other one is. And you also can't really see the second one. It's in an upward elevated position in the background, and there's also smoke everywhere, so it does make things difficult. So more examples of using stasis bubble, I should say. I am actually making use of it just because I haven't actually used it before or seen it. I know some players have seen it in the multiplayer, though I have not. So I want to just experiment with it and see how good it is. I haven't concluded that it's overpowered yet, though I will be actually at the end of this battle after my 2 deaths. I also never use Liara, so I'm not used to having the option to begin with. It's also unfortunate because the turrets are incapable of shooting each other, I think, because of how they're positioned, though I could be wrong. So sabotage isn't as effective as it could be. So right now, I'm trying to just decide between using powers and just trying to take shots on these guys with my sniper rifle. That was a pretty cool shot. I was pretty pleased with that. Guy randomly gets caught in the singularity, and I managed to just nick his backpack and take him out. But I want none of this. So just from some of the hip shooting, got a headshot in there. But Caden dies anyway. I don't bother rezzing him. I'm not too concerned. I probably should have in retrospect. But I tend to want to conserve my Metagel, my first aid, for myself rather than my party members. And here I die. Just wanted to kill that engineer. I knew his shield was down. I just wanted to just want to tap that backpack. But no, I extended for too long and it cost me. So that sucked. But in the end, it's probably worthwhile because I'll be showing a couple different strategies for this fight. And one that's extremely effective when you have access to scoped weapons, certainly a sniper rifle. Right here, I want to just upgrade Sabotage. I was hoping I would be able to upgrade its duration, but I don't have enough points. I'm just 1 point shy from duration, but I'll be definitely putting points in that next. I have been trying to save up to max out Sentry, but at this point, I would rather just sabotage actual turrets when the opportunity arises than use Sentry when facing Cerberus. And usually they do use turrets, so. We're just waiting to get back into position, get back into the fight. Should be coming up in a moment. I'm trying to determine... I'm not going to attack from the exact same spot. I'm going to attack from over here, which was to the right of my previous positioning. Just trying to figure out some different strategies right now. I think I'm now out of the line of sight of the second turret, but I do die again. I forget from what, probably was from a turret burst again. They do mow you down nearly instantly when given the opportunity. But this is actually a very poor positioning because they can very easily flank you from the left, which I will soon discover. And I was hoping that Caden would serve as a deterrent there, but he really doesn't. See, there's a huge cluster of opponents here, and I know that this is probably bad. I can't handle that many enemies at once. I'm trying to reposition myself, but again, they're outflanking me. And I'm going to die. Yep, just trying to get some headshots on that engineer. The turret takes me out, so that didn't work. So now I say, to hell with it. I know what I can do. I bet I know the perfect positioning. So now we're going to just go to the far right and just say, screw you guys. I'm going to hide over here and attack you well out of range of your turret. And yeah, when you go this far to the right, you're well out of range of the turret, and you just have a perfect kill zone, a perfect sniper lane to take these guys out. And this basically shows why I think that stasis is overpowered. You'll see in just a moment. And I use stasis to take out... They have like 4 engineers, reminds me of Team Fortress 2, over there. And they just slowly walk into the stasis bubble, and it allows me to just get headshots on all of them. I could have also attempted to sabotage that turret, but I wanted to just use stasis and to see how powerful it can be. in a kill zone like this, in such a narrow area. And yes, stasis bubble in a narrow area like this is, I think, just overpowered. It's too good, it's too easy, it's too cheap when combined, at least when combined with high-powered scoped weapons like sniper rifles where you can get headshots off. It's very fun. It's absolutely incredibly entertaining, but it's overpowered. Also, this positioning that I'm using I kind of feel is cheap, and I don't usually like to use cheap positionings like I did on the Palavan Moon, Minea, I think it's called, where I kind of hid in that corner and allowed me to kill those brutes. But that was kind of extenuating circumstances, special circumstances. I had a terrible loadout, and I wasted the Reaper Blackstar on trash, just regular gunner guys rather than the brutes, and I couldn't reload to before that point. So kind of a perfect storm of crap. But anyway, let us continue on. So, again, we're just fighting in a controlled space, you know, building an urban space, and I'm just hiding out in here waiting for them to come to me. I don't feel trapped here. I have a lot of room to maneuver, a lot of room to flank if necessary, so I'm just leaving my party members over there. I was kind of hoping I could shoot through this crack, but I don't think it's possible. That's what I concluded there. And see exactly what I can do. Always grenades. It never fails. I did feel like I was missing my shotgun eventually. I really do like having a shotgun for close quarters combats like these. For right here, for example, I'm trying to get shots in the slot from the hip with my phalanx, but if I had a shotgun, I would have easily been able to get a number of pellets through the slit, and then also he would have been stunned, and I could have flanked him or used powers or whatever. So I just miss the utility, and I really don't mind the fact that they are heavy. It really doesn't bother me. I don't really care. Just can't get through the stupid hole. Now I'm caught between a guardian and a grenade, but here we go. That's dealt with. This guy will be dealt with. I should mention that in my next video I will be using the Prothean, I'll be using the particle beam rifle, so if you're interested in those things, be sure to check it out. I still do not know what power the Prothean has, if any, so I'm looking forward to that. Really hope there's bonus skills in this game, I can't stress that enough. Really creates a much larger diversity in builds and in characters, makes one engineer different from another, beyond just how he's spec'd and his armor and the weapons he uses. I mean, there's a lot of difference there, but I really do like bonus skills. Always satisfying to go for the backpack, the turret. So here we have 2 turrets, and another turret on my right, so we have 3 turrets total. But they're positioned in such a way that I can sabotage one, and then the other turrets will take out the last, the third. And that's just working wonders. I'm definitely going to be speccing more into sabotage rather than saving up points for sentry, because I'm getting to the point that there are so many turrets and I'm facing Cerberus so often that I may as well use it. I still really hope that there are other mechs in the game than just turrets, though, and Atlas mechs. What happened to the Fenris mechs? What happened to the Loki mechs? I mean, those were fine. What was wrong with those guys? The rank and file mechs. Why must everything be, you know, a boss, essentially? I still do need to try using sabotage on Reapers, though. They are technically machines, they're like organic machines. So theoretically it could work. I really, really doubt it, but it's possible. Do combat engineers turn into assault troopers when you destroy their turret? Did it actually say that his nameplate became assault trooper? That's interesting if that's the case. So this sequence should be coming to a close pretty shortly, and we will get to the Atlas mech of this level. The boss. Here we go. Out of ammo. Of course. There we go. Moving right along, skipping a bunch of plot stuff and a bunch of running. And now just waiting for Cerberus to come yet again. And I knew there had to be something coming here. This area is far too open, and there's far too much cover for it to be over. Wait for it.
I'm transmitting the signal.
And this is again just a great example of how much better sniper rifles are in this game. They were still good in Mass Effect 2. I mean, they were great in Mass Effect 2. The Widow was one of the most powerful weapons in the game. But the maps are so much more wide and so much more open, and you have much better sniper lanes, much better lanes of fire, that it's just a very useful weapon. Far more practical. Especially when you're combining it with stasis. It is very satisfying to get shots through those little peepholes that they've got. That was Reeve, if you were wondering. I have a feeling Reeve would be far more useful if used by the player because it gives you that defensive bonus. I also don't have any biotic traps or anything right now that I can detonate, though I think you can detonate stasis. I believe you can detonate it, and you can use abilities other than warp now. I believe you can use Reeve, you can use shockwave, I think, even. But I'd rather not detonate a stasis. I'd rather just hold them there and then get headshots off on them. So at this point, these guys are just lambs to the slaughter, really. There's really no hard targets, it's just regular grunts. There goes one. There goes another. But I'm running a bit low on ammo, I think. I do miss my carnage explosions. I miss being able to light somebody on fire and then blow it up into a huge fireball with carnage. I don't know if that works with just using one incinerate to finish somebody off, rather one to light them on fire and then one to finish them off. I don't think I've ever managed to do that, where you've exploded them with incinerate, but I don't know, I could be wrong. So now I hear a next wave is coming, so probably should get into the hidey hole, into the house. And it's not super enclosed, I do have room to maneuver, and it was a wise decision because they bring down an Atlas mech, so I do recommend for this part of the fight to hide into this house. And just position your party members in such a way that enemies can't flank you. I position one on the right, and I position one on the left. And if they do eventually try to come in, but I'm able to fend them off pretty easily. This is another example where having a shotgun would be helpful. Friggin' smoke. There we go. So, and here, I remember at the very... I'm not used to really facing Atlas mechs with a lot of support from enemies. It does happen, but you usually face them alone, and if there are enemies, there's maybe two. There's not really large groups. The one exception to that rule was on... Where was I? Tuchanka? Maybe? And that was where I had the missile launcher, and I was able to almost destroy it just from that alone anyway, so it didn't really come up. But, and I'm talking about this because I'm forgetting to use sabotage. You can sabotage Atlas mechs, and they do attack the enemy. So what I should have done for the first part of this fight is just sabotage the mech and have him kill all the grunts. But I don't realize to do that until he's almost dead anyway, because it just hasn't really been an opportunity for the most part, but now I know. So right now, I'm just trying to remove his shield with the Phalanx pistol. I'll then wind up eventually switching to the Valiant to take out his armor. Trying to get a sentry up to maybe provide a little bit additional fire, but the base sentry doesn't really seem to do too much damage anyway. Again, I'm hoping he'll be improved by quite a bit once he gets rockets. I may wind up re-speccing my drone into the AoE shock, the chain shock, because I really have noticed that he's not as good at getting enemies out of cover with the rockets, though he does do more damage. I guess it really just depends on my loadout. When I have a sniper rifle, I want him to knock enemies out of cover. When I'm using shotguns and close quarters weapons, it really doesn't matter. So we'll see what loadout I eventually decide to stick with, if any. I have high hopes for that new assault rifle. So just another example of using corners to your advantage. I'm starting to hit the wall, though, because of the spread. And there's really nothing you can do. Facing Atlas mechs is very trivial when you're given these houses, these rooms with windows and doors to work with, because he can't come in here. So as long as he can't come in here, I mean, it's just like in Mass Effect 2 with the Yimmer mechs. When they're much harder to face in open areas than when you have a house, because they can't enter. Whereas with open areas, they eventually will close on you, and you'll have to move and regroup. So now I'm finally remembering to sabotage, but it's a little late. And I realize that, so I'm just going to finish him off. And there he goes. I miss being able to shoot them in the head, like the Yimmer mechs, with the last shot, and then blow them up into a huge nuclear explosion. I actually really miss that a lot. I hope they bring that back someday. Or maybe there's a way to do it that I'm not aware of, or something. So this is where they finally close in, but... And I am actually a little worried, because I'm taking damage, I really have nowhere to go, and this cover doesn't seem to be working too terribly well. So I wind up using a singularity, just to clear them out. And this is an instance where I wish I had a grenade, because I would have just taken care of all those guys. It would have been a good use of a frag grenade from James. Or if I was a class that actually had grenades, I just have the sentry. And you can actually use the sentry a lot like an actual grenade if you spec him for the AoE shock and flamethrower. Just make him into a close quarters weapon. But still, it's not as bursty as using a frag grenade. Alright guys, well this is coming to a close. We're just going to finish off our last couple of enemies. So, thanks for watching. Check out my channel, like, sub, comment, and I'll be sure to get back to you when I can. Alright guys, this is it. Have a